Alright, so basically just want to get started on this shit, kind of go over the event in my eyes, and exactly kind of what I wanted to do since I'm the one who made all these fucking crazy map edits and shit. So this right here is Electro, and as the rad zone stands right now, this is the last safe road before Electro, so the rad zone starts about right here. Now because of the rad zone, someone had to launch the nuke on the rad zone. Who would nuke this? And that was my idea. Was the military, U.S. specifically, because they have submarines, nuclear submarines, whatnot, and leaving nothing behind and doing things like that is a very, very important strategy in the U.S. Also, it kind of makes sense, gives a story instead of just nuking the rad zone or having nothing behind it. People have an idea of who exactly did this and what's going on behind the scenes. And this is kind of the follow-up. This is the discussion that people can have. So the meeting can either start at the trader or whatever the fuck, but going on from there. Eventually something's going to get started. Someone's going to mention something. Someone's going to mention boats. Whether it be getting off the island or, hey, we heard the fucking military guys dump some fucking gear. We're trying to take it. It's up to you guys if you want to go. Either way, they're going to end up here. We're going to have a couple of fucking guys offloading or fucking doing something. Repair animation, whatever the fuck. Make it look like they're busy, you know. And from here, we give the people two choices. They can either commandeer these vessels that aren't the military one, or they can take this big one, this Mark V SOC, which holds a fuck ton of people. It also has the ability to defend itself, has some 50 cals and shit. Some Mark 19s, all kinds of fun shit. But, this being said, this is not going to stay. No one's going to hold on to this after the event, no matter what. So, after either commandeering or taking their own vessels, go one of two ways. People can just fuck off and take the boats. That's not going to go well. These boats aren't going to be persistent, so people aren't going to fucking be able to keep them anyway. No one has a fucking water base, so nothing's going to fucking matter. Or, instead of fleeing, they can literally go over here and check out what happened after that nuke drop. In the military, when you learn CBR and shit, you'll learn that you want to decon, get rid of all the shit that's contaminated. Well, that's exactly what our boys did. They fucking threw everything over the side that was contaminated, including some pretty cool military gear. Whether it be uniforms, rifles, maybe even night vision, that's for you guys to decide. Ammunition and shit, MREs. Military as possible, and a fucking lot of it. Whatever it is going to be, it's going to be the same of a lot of things. Either a lot of Marpat uniforms in one crate, or a lot of MREs in another, a lot of rifles in one, a lot of magazines. There's so many ways you could adjust the loot, and that's something that we need to talk about. But that's just my eyes on it. Going from there, kind of behind the ocean, what's going on with the destroyer and shit. So you got a lot of left behind boats and shit. Some are kind of sunken into the water. They're inoperable. Others will spawn in, like these fishing boats, in case people get stranded out here. Or somehow, some way, because people are fucking idiots. They try to drive their boat up and get it fucking stuck. Hey, guess what? They have a fucking way out. They gotta swim a little bit like a fucking retard, but hey, they got a way out. And then some more dangerous areas, like let's say this one, where you're very exposed to that aircraft carrier, and maybe direct fire or something. You have some other boats, especially since I tried to make these as simple as possible. I mean, you drive up to this. I mean, it's pretty simple to see where you go to get to this. But on some other ones, even this one, it's pretty easy to tell. I mean, you literally just fucking park your boat right there, climb up, and get on. But on some of these other ones, I had to deal with a lot of clipping issues and shit. Especially this one, if you don't pull up directly on the right side, fucking get out, and then get the crate, you're going to kind of fuck yourself over. And this one, too, is just about the same way. If you don't pull up on the right side and get out on the same side of the vehicle. Now, if people do end up doing the option, like I said earlier, where they commandeer the boat, well, guess what? Those guys have fucking radios. What happens when you steal a boat from a naval vessel? Yeah, they're going to contact their guys on the flight deck. And those guys on the flight deck are going to do a low pass with either one of these fancy navy gray painted helicopters with miniguns and rockets and shit. Or could have Adam himself, or whoever's decent at flying, take this F-18 and do some strafing runs and shit. Not to make it difficult for the players or anything, but if you have a boat with machine guns, 50 cals, all this other shit, it makes sense that the guys you stole it from would be pretty fucking pissed off. And that would kind of turn relations in the military being against the people of Trinars. Now, if people don't do that, they simply take these little skiffs. Now, it's hard to resist a fucking juicy-ass looking boat like this. I mean, they can roll right up to here. The U.S. military is not really going to care. They don't want any of this shit anyway. But as soon as all these little skiffs start passing this area right here, this one with the destroyed boat, that's when shit's going to get pretty lethal. And that's when that helicopter's going to take off and start firing fucking warning shots and shit. That's when they're going to get a little bit more aggressive, you know. And we just have these destroyers on the side, too. So we can kind of defend against the lurkers so people just don't keep going out to the fucking ocean like a bunch of fucking retards. It kind of closes in the area, you know. It gives you this entire little comb of effect. You have the radiation zone over there, and you have the island over here kind of guarding it from that side. So it definitely drops you in this little zone where everyone has to go in this little peninsula. From there, from getting the loot out, whatever happens, these boats don't hold shit. They hold maybe 1,000, so it's pretty much going to be what players can carry on them. And most players are probably going to fucking just try to fucking book it. I don't think many players are going to try to fucking drive their boats off and shit. But if they do, that's why we have the jet. They can fucking track them down. They can start doing low passes and shit. And just to wake people out so they want to get the fuck off the boat as soon as possible. And as soon as people start getting off those boats, we're going to start fucking detonating them, either with IEDs or being ballsy and trying to do it with the plane, but I prefer not to because that shit can kind of sketchy. Be easier to have an admin on the ground, invisible, check the storage, make sure it's empty, whatever the fuck, and then blow that bitch up. In tandem with that, let's say the guys fucking take this big-ass hunk of fucking meat right here, and they leave these boats behind, we can fucking blow these up. Or something, you know. We can add tension to the situation very easily. It also gives players a lot of different routes they could take. If players don't want to take the boats, and they're like, nah, fuck this, guess what? They can fucking chill right here, grab a pair of fucking binoculars, and just fucking look out and see what's happening. It's not that far away. Now, it's far away if you get fucked up or your boat explodes, but I think it definitely adds a lot of tension, adds a lot of backstory. Shows you what happened in real life if you're going to do like a CBR situation. So that's kind of my take on it. I think it's a pretty cool layout and can go a lot of ways. It is pretty military heavy and it's playing on this theme with the nuke and shit. People could do some dumb shit with the boats. But I think as long as you make them non-persistent, as well as the fact of adding in this threat of the military, people aren't really going to have a use for these boats anyway, besides driving up the shore. And I don't foresee it being a issue on the server as well, especially with the unlimited amount. Kind of creates that gas mask thing, where people who are there have them, and they're very safeguarded. And I think that's a really cool thing to add. Alright guys, that's it.